Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 121 of How Do You Write? I'm Rachael Herron, and I'm so glad that you're here with me today. Today, I'm talking to Dharma Kelleher, who's rad. She's my new best friend, and I love her, and you are going to love her too. She's warm and witty and wonderful, and she's just all things great. So hold tight for that interview. It's going to be awesome. And what's going on around here? In health news, I'm doing all the things right. And I have to tell you that with this new diagnosis of prediabetes, woohoo, and triglycerides that were that of a pork rind, literally my triglycerides came back at 758. I got them retested. They are half that. I really think that a person with 758 triglycerides would be dead. My doctor sounded terrified. So I got them tested. They're in the 400s. Still very high, but that is congenital in my family. When I was a 22-year-old runner, I had triglycerides that were 400, so I'm less concerned. But the pre-diabetic thing has me eating good. And I have to say that eating well and eating lots of protein, you're just not as hungry. So let's face the fact that I don't drink anymore. I don't eat sugar anymore. I don't even want to eat that much anymore. I have a lot more time than I used to have. Am I spending it writing? No. I'm spending it reading. I have also, in the last week, accidentally gotten 8 books from the library. Usually I try to keep it at 1 or 2, but everything that I wanted, everything I was on the list for at the library, all became available. So I have this delicious problem of wanting to read every minute of the day, and I kind of let myself do that today. I am reading a book called The Forgotten Hours by Katrin Schumann, which I'm loving, and I actually interview her next week, so you'll hear from her next week. But I can't put it down, and it's not even a library book. But yeah, so I'm really kind of feeling that feeling right now, that I'm in a reading spot. I'm also revising the collection of essays called Replenish, so that I can get those out the door to my agent. But I'm filling the well right now as I'm thinking about this thriller that I'm going to write next. Speaking of that thriller that I'm going to write next, I am going to tell you about a thing I'm doing. I'm only going to tell you once, because the class is already full enough that I'm going to run it. But if there's anybody listening who wants to write a book from March 1st to May 31st, I'm offering a masterclass. The cool thing, it's called 90 Days to Done. It's designed to take you from no idea to completed first draft in those 3 months. March, April, May of this year, 2019. So it starts in 2 weeks. I'm also going to be writing the first draft of my thriller during that time. So it's going to be no more than 12 of us writing together, a private Slack channel, and a weekly meeting in which I talk to you all, but also we all talk to each other. It's a mastermind masterclass. So at least once during the quote unquote semester, everyone will have a chance on the hot seat where you bring your particular problem and everybody throws their brain power at it to fix it. I've been in masterminds before, and it is amazing. The problem that you've been beating your head against is solved by somebody you never expected to say, by them saying one thing that breaks it loose in your head. And we're going to be going over story structure and how to get the work done. And most of all, it's a place of accountability. And like I said, this is the only time I'm going to mention it. I will not shill it any further. It's just something I'm super excited about. If you're interested, you can look at it at rachelherron.com/90 days to done. The number's 90 days to done. It is $3.99 a month for those 3 months, or you can pay in advance for $1,099. And it's going to be awesome, and I'm really, really excited about it. But I don't like shilling too much on the show, so I'm done talking about that. But I'm loving thinking about getting my hands in some first draft words, and I paused as I said that because I can't believe I just said that. You know that I hate first drafts. Yeek. But the idea of doing it with other people and struggling through it with other people, it's like a mini NaNoWriMo over 3 months. So I kind of can't wait. What else is going on? so many things, so many little good things that I'm just trucking along. Let's go woo woo for 1 minute, okay? I'm gonna go woo woo. Have you ever heard of metta meditation? You may have heard it called loving kindness. I am super into it, y'all, and I do it when I'm driving, which is probably anti every Buddhist idea ever. But I heard Jack Kornfield say that sometimes he just walks down the street wishing people loving kindness, and I'm like, I can do that in my car. So in the morning, I drive and this is how you do it. This is how I do it. I think you should probably do it while you're meditating, but yeah, whatever. You think of a person that you love and you wish them love and happiness and peace and all good things and health and everything that you want for them. You surround them in your mind with that. And then you think of somebody you are neutral about, the guy at the grocery store or the person in the car who is right next to you on the freeway. And in your mind, you just wish them all those good things. And then you think about someone that you're not happy about, perhaps you don't like, perhaps you're struggling with, and you wish them that. There's a particular person in my life who I would like to make some reconciliation with. So I am dealing with that person. And dude, it's working every day. I think about him and wish him this kind of wonderfulness. It's not a family member. It's not even a friend, but it's somebody that I have to deal with. And it's working. My heart is like softening. And then the last person you think about loving kindness toward is yourself. And for me, that's the hardest person. Of course, might be for you too. And this takes 5 minutes while I'm driving, maybe 10 if I get, if I actually have to pay attention to the road like I did this morning in the rain. But the reason I mention it is that it makes my mood crazy good. Like 3 cups of coffee, a good night's sleep, and some sugar good. And I'm not having coffee or sugar. It just makes me feel awesome. It's this weird trickle down thing. If I do it the first thing in the morning, my day is just better. It doesn't mean that my day won't suck. Doesn't mean that I won't find mold under our mattress. I'm still not recovered from that. Yes, we had mold under our mattress, on our mattress, in our mattress. For how long? I don't know. It wasn't breathing. It was on top of plastic because apparently we're stupid. But yeah, so now I have a giant, we're switching to a king bed, so that's nice. And I bought one of those memory foam mattresses on Amazon. We had gotten one before. It's a fantastic mattress if we had let it breathe, which we didn't. But it comes in this little squished up, rolled up ball, and you let it sit for 48 or 72 hours and rise. We can't let it rise in the bedroom right now where we're sleeping on the air mattress because we don't have the king size frame yet. So the house is in uproar. There was mold in my bed. I really cannot tell you how much I freaked out. I'm not a freaker outer. I really am not. In the majority of all situations in life, I'm not going to freak out. I might freak out later, but I'm not going to freak out at that moment. That moment, I lost my shit. So, but having love and kindness meditation in the morning still kind of makes the day worthwhile. So I'm going to mention it. Google it. Metta, M-E-T-T-A. Do it your own way. Don't follow anybody else's rules. We don't do that. We're writers. So, see, you can hear it in my voice. It's like I've had 3 cups of coffee. So please enjoy this awesome interview with Dharma. I think you'll really like it. Go check out the masterclass if you're interested in writing a book in the next 3 months. RachelHerron.com, 90 days to done, or you can always email me or hit me on Twitter. And that is it, my friends. We'll talk soon. I hope you get your writing done and tell me all about it. I love it when you do. Well, I could not be more pleased today to welcome Dharma Kelleher to the show. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Glad it's Friday.
I'm so glad it's Friday as we record this. It's been a long week. You've had that too?
Oh, yes. Very long week.
Well, let's take a breath. Now it's the weekend. We can actually think about doing what we love to do most. Let me give you a little introduction. Okay. As one of the few transgender authors in crime fiction, Dharma Kelleher writes gritty novels with a progressive bent, including the Jinx Ballou Bounty Hunter series and the Shea Stevens Outlaw Biker series. Her work has appeared on Shotgun Honey and in the upcoming Murder-A-GoGo anthology. which I love. I used to be Yarn-A-GoGo everywhere in the internet sphere when I was more known as a knitter. She's a former journalist and a member of Sisters in Crime and the International Thriller Writers and the Alliance of Independent Authors. She lives in Arizona with her wife and 3 feline overlords. Is it Kelleher or Kelleher?
It is.
Okay.
It's Kelleher.
Kelleher.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So, welcome to the show. You're a listener of my other podcast, The Writer's Well.
I am.
And you're a sponsor, and you've just always been so awesome in the comments. And then we were connected in this queer crime writers group.
That's right. Yeah.
And I saw your name and recognized, and you saw mine and recognized it. And I realized that we're part of this really very small tribe. I think that all the queer thriller writers might be in there now. So it's so cool to talk to you. And you left just I was just talking to you off air about this lovely comment that you left on the site the other day just about forgiveness and letting go of things. And you and I share some background in terms of addiction and recovery.
Yes.
And so I'm already adopting you as a friend. So welcome to the show.
Great.
You're my new friend. But let's talk about writing and let's talk about your process, because that's what I love to talk about. Can you tell us what your process is like? When, where, how much?
My process is a mess.
Yay, my favorite kind.
It's basically very organic, very I'm sort of a plotter. And so I'll create an outline, and that might take me, may take me a week. It may take me a couple months, or you never know.
Yeah.
And then when I do my rough draft, I usually go for a while following the outline. Then all of a sudden, like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't work. And what was I thinking when I came up with the idea for that scene? And I'm like, no. So, and I just did this for the work for the novel that I'm writing now. And I got I was right at 50%. I'm like, oh, no. Or I'll come up with better ideas like, what if instead of them being the killer, this other person is the killer? And so I could shift all the attention on the red herring characters. It's like, oh, okay. It's like, okay, this is what they're doing. Oh, wait a minute, over here.
That would work really well, I think, in a way.
It works well. I mean, it's like I said, it's kind of, I've learned to go with the flow, and I'm like, I don't stress myself out as far as crappy writing, because I know it's going to be crappy writing.
Good.
Because, it's like, when you, if you've ever seen animations and you see the kind of the behind the scenes making of, and you see all the stick figure kind of things that they start off with and all that, I'm like, well, doesn't look like the finished product. Of course not. It's a basic structure that you're working with, and then you refine it and you shape it and you move things around. And because it's so easy to get caught up in that writer's block that's like, oh, this is crap. I can't do this. And I'm like, let it be crap. Let it be crap.
I honestly think that is one of the hardest things to learn.
I know.
I really, once you do learn it and accept it, and thank God for NaNoWriMo, which has taught it to a lot of people. But once you do learn it, you never have to look back. Then my favorite writer's first draft is absolute crap.
Absolute crap.
But actually accepting that for yourself, especially a lot of us are type A. I always thought, well, everyone else's first drafts are crap, but mine, of course, will be perfect.
Must be, yes.
Which is why it took me so many years to actually finish a first draft of anything.
Oh yeah.
So now, where do you write? Do you write at home? Do you go out to the cafe?
I write wherever I can. I've got a little tablet with a little Bluetooth keyboard. So wherever I am, if I've got time and enough quiet that I can start writing, then I will do that. If I've got dialogue or something going on in the background, I can't do that. I have to zone it out. Either with headphones and music or rainfall or whatever, something like that to drown it out. And then but I'll write in just about anywhere. So if I get a little bit of time at work or something, I'll do it there. If at home, I try to do a lot at home. Sometimes first things in the morning, sometimes at night, a lot on the weekends, because I still have the day job. So just whenever. And right now I've got a editorial deadline looming, so just push.
Then
know,
I thank you even more for being here right now when you could be working on your book.
I know it's just like I'm a little. I'm about 2/3 the way through the rough draft, and it's due to the editor at the end of May, and I'm like, ugh.
You've got time. Oh my
Plus, I'm going
goodness.
to Left Coast Crime into March.
Oh, I wish I was going. Then I could meet you
I
in
know.
person. Is
That
it in
would've
Portland this year? Is it up
No,
there?
it's Vancouver.
Oh, that's right. I knew it was in an awesome place. Yeah.
Canada.
I almost went. I love Canada.
I've got some really great friends in Vancouver anyway.
Oh.
So I love Canada, so I'm looking forward to it. A little nervous. I'm on some panels with some really amazing people. They're like, everybody's award winning except for me. I'm like, ooh.
Just rub elbows with them a little bit. Maybe it'll rub a little bit of the shiny will rub off. Yeah.
I'm on there with let's say I'm on one panel with Kelly Garrett,
Nice.
who won an Agatha for Hollywood Homicide, I think, and I think she's up for another one for Hollywood Ending. So I mean, she's fabulous, and there's so many different people, and I'm like, they invited me to be on this panel too. Okay,
So great. I love that. Oh gosh, I wish I was going to be there. Oh, are you going to Thriller Fest?
no, I'm not. I'm just now getting back into going to the writers' conventions, and because I'm a homebody. I really am.
Me too. And they're expensive. They're so expensive.
And I don't make a lot at my job, and so I'm like, okay, we'll just save it up, and I'll pay this part. I'll pay the conference fees first, and then I'll pay for the hotel, or I'll pay for the flight in a few months later, and then pay. I'm just if I can space it out, but there's just so many expenses. I'm like,
In order to save money this year, I'm just not going to any of them.
It's just
I'm just biting that bullet, and so I understand. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to writing?
I don't normally get into like,
Yes, if anybody's watching on YouTube, I've got Dozy on my lap now because she's begging and she's going to bark if I don't. Go on. Biggest challenge.
The biggest challenge, my style tends to be very literary. I don't, I read these descriptions that other authors have like, wow, that's so amazing and everything like that. Like, why can't I do that? I'm like, what are words? Like, what kind of chair would this? I'm like, what armchair? Oh, wingback. I can't think of words. And like, I was reading something today. I forget what it was, and the writing was just so beautiful. And I'm like, wow, I love that phrase. I don't even remember what the phrase was, but it's just like, I can't imagine myself using that phrase because I just wouldn't have thought of it. So I'm like, I want to be not literary in a real literary genre, but more of that style in terms of beautiful description, beautiful writing.
I get that way about analogies. Some people can spin analogies
exactly.
in a way I just don't think in analogies. And I'm always jealous when I see beautiful ones.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm just like, I just like, wow. So I mean, I feel my writing is very pulpy, very.
Heck yeah, that's commercial and saleable.
It is,
and useful.
Yeah,
and that's what drives pace too. So what is your biggest joy when it comes to writing?
I think more than anything else, representing my community as a trans woman.
Oh, how wonderful! Yeah,
because there is no trans crime fiction.
Yeah.
There are a few other authors. Renee James wrote 3 or 4 novels, and Laurie Rockenbeck, who is going to be at Left Coast Crime, has written a couple of novels that feature a trans main character, and but just a few. And I'm just like committed for the long haul because I kept reading these novels, and I'm like so many of the novels with trans characters, well, it's like they're the victim, or it's like this coming out story, or a transition story, or romance, or erotica, or something. I mean,
as opposed to a story, as opposed to
a story that isn't centered around them being trans. It's just that's just part of who they are, So I figured I want a hero that looks like me in a sense, but it's stronger, faster, smarter, tougher.
We all write that in our books.
Exactly. Oh, Mary Sue,
Gotta love a Mary Sue.
No, it is. It is what it is, and I have no shame about it.
That's wonderful.
So
yeah, excellent. Can you share a craft tip of any sort with us?
One of my biggest things is just trusting the process.
That's huge and also very difficult. What do you mean by that? Expand that.
Okay. Trusting the process is understanding that, even something as, quote, simple as writing a novel, which is not simple at all, is very complex. We think, okay, I'll write the opening, introduce the characters, do this, and then I'll have, the rising tension and all this, and it's just like, no, I'm just going to go with my gut, and I'm going to write it, and it's going to be crappy, and I'm going to wait. It's like, oh, I don't need that character, or instead of that character, I want this other character. It just gets sloppy. It's very sloppy, and you just got to sit down in the slop and let it coat you, because that's where all the stuff is. People say, how do you invoke the muse? You start writing, and your muse looks over your shoulder and said, that's kind of crap. Here, let me help you out with that.
That is exactly how the muse works. One of my friends says about meditation, she says, I don't know, I just go sit in the junkyard. Mm-hmm. And I really feel that that's the same thing with writing. We just go sit in the junkyard and we keep picking up enough pieces of metal that eventually we get a jalopy.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
It doesn't really run.
and of course the same idea of the trust the process. That's something that I got from my recovery process. One of my mentors, Kay Grosso, she was always saying, "Trust the process." I'm like, "What process?" I'm dying here. I'm in this crazy relationship. What am I doing here? I just want to drink. I don't want to feel. I don't want.
Yeah,
and eventually I understood, but it's just being able to sit in it.
Yeah.
And the other day on the podcast, you on that same podcast talking, maybe in a different episode, talking about the meditation process. Mm-hmm. And I never heard it described this way, but you said that part of the process is your brain going off on these little monkey mind trips.
That's part of meditation.
It is.
Meditation doesn't work if you don't get distracted.
Exactly. I've never thought about that. It's like, oh, yeah. I mean, I know it's part of it, but I didn't realize it was like, that's an essential part of it.
It's an essential part. Just like writing these awful drafts is an essential part. Just like getting completely confused. I'm about to start a new book, and I don't know if you get this, but every time I start a new book, this is also part of the process, is that I believe it's going to be easier this time. And that is part of my process. And part of my process is getting, about 40,000 words in and going, why didn't I think of a plot before I got this far?
Exactly. Well, that's like, it's like we get distracted by other ideas. Like, I have this idea, and it's hilarious and it's awful, but partially inspired by Piers Anthony and a little bit by Michael Connelly's Bosch series. But what it is all of the characters have these like ironic, weird names, like an author named Paige Turner.
That is so Piers Anthony.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it would be a crime novel,
Do it.
And I'm like, oh God, people are going to hate this. But I'm like, and then I'm thinking, well, maybe I'll, and here I am in the middle of writing the rough draft of the third Jinx Ballou novel. I need to get it done. And I'm thinking, but what if I wrote it, and I'm like just getting distracted, what if I wrote it as like an episodic serialized fiction? And then I could I'm just letting myself go, like, what would the plot be? Oh, now I'm back to writing again. I guess I better get back to the Jinx Ballou novel.
It's that shiny new idea syndrome. It's always better than what we're writing. As soon as I write this new novel, start writing this novel that I'm so excited about right now, I will have a new idea. And in fact, I have a new idea behind it that's just like lurking. It's gonna push its way in. That's fantastic. What I'll do is I'll put it down. I've got like some things on Evernote, and I'll put it like story ideas. Okay, hey, what if I had a story about this or whatever? So I'm like, okay, whatever. So now it's there,
And when I'm done with this, if I need to go back to it, I have it. So I'm not going to lose it. So.
Every once in a while, I do the same thing in Evernote, and every once in a while, I'll go through my ideas file, and many of them I'm like, "That's amazing, that's amazing," and then I'm like, "What the hell? I wasn't drinking when I wrote that, but it doesn't make any sense at all."
No.
And it's not interesting.
I know. It's like, what was I thinking? It's like, what is that dog? What is it?
Exactly. Dog parts.
The blue dog.
I don't know.
I don't know.
So when you are with writing friends, when you're hanging out, what is the one subject in writing that you are just always drawn back to obsessing about? For me, honestly, it's process. Like that's why I have a process podcast. But what do you go back to?
I think it's process. Just getting into the nitty gritty of it, commiserating. It's like, God, I hate what was it? The Great Swampy Middle.
Yeah.
We're all commiserating about that. And it's like that and, dealing with, the whole marketing, building platform and all that. So, yeah, I mean, that's what I tend to fall back on. But, I don't know. It is the process though. That's where I find myself, I had someone tell me the other day, well, you must enjoy it. You do it so much. I'm like, I do, but
I know
it's like hitting your foot with a hammer and it feels so good when you stop.
I always tell the story of one of my students who came to class, and it was the third or fourth week of this memoir class. And she said, she was just so upset. She says, I'm realizing I've always thought I was a writer, and I'm not a writer because when I sit down to write, I hate it. And I go, congratulations!
You're a writer!
You're a real writer.
I know. I mean, after I've I'll sit down and I'll write out a scene and everything, and my blood pressure must be going through the roof because it's just like, okay, words.
So,
am I done with the scene yet?
Do you ever have that when you're done writing for the day? I can't speak English when I'm done writing.
Oh yeah, it's like
there are no words.
It's like, honey, can you do the thing with the screen?
And my wife gets so irritated with me because she points it out. She's like, "You're the one with words. Why can't you use them the way they are meant to be used? They have meaning." You know what I meant. You know what I meant.
I have enough trouble doing that when I'm actually writing. I'm like,
all right. So, what is the best book that you've read recently, and why did you love it?
I think the best book that I've read recently is Sarah Grand's Claire DeWitt and the City of the Dead.
Wow, is that Sarah Gran who wrote the elephant book, or is it, how do you spell her last name?
No, not Sarah Gruen.
Oh, okay.
Sarah Gran. It's like
Gran.
grand, but without the D.
Oh, okay. And what is the book about?
The book is about this. What I loved about it is the main character is a private detective, but she's kind of like a mashup between Hunter S. Thompson and just kind of your generic private eye. I mean, just because she's got kind of this mentor book that she first found when she was a kid, and how to be a detective or something. But it's just like Yoda, Buddhist, Taoist, but with a little Hunter S. Thompson thrown in there.
That sounds amazing.
And the premise of the book is she's in New Orleans after Katrina, and she's trying to solve a murder mystery, find out what happened to. She's hired by this guy to find his uncle. Yeah, his uncle, and it's really. The city is really one of the main characters of the story because just the way she really depicts how it affected different people differently, and the way just the whole city operates, and it's the conflicts between the corrupt government and the people and just everything like that, and at the same time the beauty of the culture as well, talking about what they call the tribes of Black Indians, which not Native American Indians, but these organizations of people that put on these performances and everything like that that are just really phenomenal, and just really getting into the culture of the city. And I'm like, wow, this is
That
amazing.
sounds wonderful. And I love New
It,
Orleans. I absolutely love it. That's going high to the top of my list. Also going high to the top of my list is your latest book. Why don't you tell us where we can find you and everything about you? Tell us about the latest book. Look at, isn't that a gorgeous cover?
yeah,
Hold it up again
I,
for the people watching on
I
YouTube.
love this
Yes.
cover. I love this cover.
Yes. Extreme
Extreme
Prejudice.
Prejudice. It's the latest Jinx Ballou novel. It's available pretty much everywhere. I mean, if it's not at your local bookstore, it can be ordered.
Yep.
It's available through Ingram, but it's on Amazon and Kobo and
Can be ordered from your local library, I always like to
it
point
can
out.
be ordered through your local library. If your library doesn't carry it, tell them and they can order it because it's available through Overdrive and all that. So, yeah.
And what's it about?
It is about Jinx Ballou is a bounty hunter. She has been assigned to pick up this guy, and it turns out he is involved with a militant white nationalist organization.
Something I love to hate. So
Yes,
I'm right in there.
and of course, the Arizona Phoenix is really, really there's a lot of Trump supporters here.
What a great title for it too. Extreme Prejudice. It sounds like a thriller, but it is legit on the nose.
Yeah,
right?
it is. It is. I try to do that. I try to have a kind of a little double entendre with the title.
Yeah.
And along the way, she discovers that the person who nearly killed her when she was a teenager is back in town, and he's also affiliated with this organization. So she's going after two people, and things get explosive, literally.
I cannot wait to read it. I am just drowning myself in thriller right now as I'm still approaching this genre and still trying to learn about it. I still find it difficult. So I can't wait to read it. It has been... Oh, and where can we find you?
I'm at dharmakelleher.com, and that's DharmaKelleher. I know it's like two weird names.
But they're both spelled the way I would spell them if I heard them.
Yeah.
You know.
The great thing about having a weird name is you don't have someone else with the same name. So I'm the only Dharma Kelleher out there anywhere in the world, as far as I know.
There's another young Rachael Herron writer. And I feel, and I own both URLs with the weird spellings, and I always feel guilty. I'm going to have her on the show someday. I'm going to track her down.
There you go.
And apologize.
Rachel show.
Make amends on the air.
Yeah. I'm also on Facebook, at Facebook/Dharma Kelleher, on Twitter at ZenPunkDharma.
I love that. I love that handle.
And I'm on Instagram occasionally if I've got. I don't take a lot of pictures, so every once in a while I'll take a picture. I took a picture of one of my cats jumping into a box that I'd sit down like 2 seconds before. It's like boom, the cat traps are working.
I have cat traps around here.
Yeah. Open a box, boom.
They always work.
It's amazing, you know. But if you buy like a little kitty house, like we bought this.
No, they won't go in that.
No, don't want anything to do with that. But a cardboard box.
$150 later. Yeah, no.
Oh yeah.
Well, Dharma, it has been such a treat to talk to you. I'm so glad to know you, and I cannot wait to meet you in person someday.
One of these days, the Thriller Fest or somewhere.
We'll do that. Thank you so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.